everybody. Welcome to Across the Bifrost. This is the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode, we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. Today's episode is a special episode. I know I say that a lot. It's because we have a lot of special episodes, don't we, Will? We talk to a lot of awesome people, and today is one of those episodes. We are joined by I don't even know how to say this. I've been reading this guy's comics for so long. I kind of don't remember the first time I encountered his work in comics, but our guest today is Marvel letterer JOE SABINO. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's a lot of fun.
And you know what, Will? It does feel like an honor. Like it feels like we're marching closer and closer to War of the Realms, and we needed somebody to come on this show and tell us what it was like to put these comics together, and who better than Joe.
I know, and if you open up that front page of the comic and you look at the team who puts this right now comic together, there's a list of names. You would think like, oh, just a couple people work on a funny book and just put it out on the, put it on the spinner rack, and then they sell it on Wednesday at the new comic day on comic shops. But if you look at that team, there's a whole host of people that work together as a team to make sure that you have a full story and that it all works together in a coherent, manageable flow that will draw you into the story. And I'm pretty stoked that we get to talk to, if not one of the most important parts of the comic, but often forgotten, the letter, the one who puts the words together on the page so it doesn't get in the way of the art, but lets the art flow. They have some important decisions to make. So I'm very excited to pick Joe's brain and get to know his story and who he is, because he does important work in the realm of comics.
Oh, stop. You know what, Will? We should probably just ask Joe about his story.
Let's do that.
So, Joe, for our listeners, we just want to know, like, the question we kind of start our conversations with is, where in the 9 realms do you call home?
Okay, well, I guess technically New Jersey and Midgard.
New Jersey and Midgard, yes.
Yeah. But if I had to hang out anywhere, it'd probably be like Nidavellir or Alfheim, because I feel like those are the two you're least likely to get killed on. So
you're not looking to get into the heat. You're not looking like you're like, I'm gonna go hang with dwarves, I'm gonna go hang with light elves.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it simple. Like, I'm not looking for life-threatening scenarios.
The safest place. The safest place.
Yeah, I know a lot of people go with Muspelheim, but I'm gonna take a pass on that one.
Nice.
Our friend Martin Coccolo decided, he was like, Muspelheim. I'm like, why? That sounds terrible. Demons, and he's apparently that's his bag. But Joe, you're the first one to say Alfheim or Nidavellir, and I love that. We've been asking that question for a long time, and no one's ever said those before.
Yeah,
but great choices.
Be fun to hang out with, and I don't know.
Well, Joe, a lot of people, like when they open up a comic, like Will was just saying, like they'll see your name there on the credits, and that story had to originate and start somewhere. So I'm curious, what are some of your like first memories of comics and superheroes and this medium of telling stories?
Yeah, I had my mom's cousin had bought me one of the Fantastic Four issues, and I was kind of blown away by the art in that. I always loved art. I was always drawing. And then the Marvel Universe trading cards came out.
Oh, yeah.
And I would sit and just redraw those for hours and hours and hours. And it hit the point where I was 5 years old. If you'd asked me what I want to do for a living, I would have worked for Marvel. And so,
wow,
you've been living the dream, like the childhood dream.
Yeah, I just kind of stumbled into it. It wasn't intentional.
So you say that your first comic was Fantastic Four. Did you have a favorite superhero when you were 5 and you already decided you wanted to work for Marvel?
Oh, I was just straight up Spider-Man fan. I mean, like, he's my number one. Everything is Spider-Man.
do you remember the first time you got to work on a Spider-Man book? Like, just jumping ahead real quick in our conversation, when you got to work on a Spider-Man book,
or put words to Peter Parker, like, here it is.
Right.
I get to
like,
throw some words and word balloon up on Peter Parker.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know, like, the first time I got to was in the bullpen at Marvel. I got to like composite a Spider-Man book, and I got my name in it for production. I was just like, I worked on a Spider-Man book.
And that was like enough for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was pretty thrilling, because I had no clue I'd actually be on the creative side of things eventually. So yeah, that's I like, and my name is Spider-Man book. And I think as far as working on a Spider-Man comic, it may have been like one of the Marvel Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Or something. I did a lot of the kids,
like Marvel action stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd have to go and dig through my trades, but I think it was like Marvel Adventures or something, and they were intended for a younger audience.
Because they did those digests kind of similar to manga, where they would be like, hey, we're going to target kids and put these adventures in like these little digest books and stuff. The graphic novels, but they were like digests. I remember those. Those were good stuff. Joe, do you still have that Fantastic Four comic that you got, that they bought you, to kind of was the gateway to the joy of comics?
I do. Comic. I would have to go. It's in my parents' basement. I'd have to go to my little long box of comics from when I was a kid. And, I guess after excuse me, what?
No, I think that's awesome. Yeah, I still have my boxes from when I was a kid too. Yeah.
And then from there, it just I'd go to comic shops just because I love the art, and I would buy any cool cover I saw. So like back then they had the glow in the dark Ghost Rider cover and things like that. And I think it was like Wolverine 50 or something, where it had like the claw marks through cardboard on the cover. Like all those covers from the 90s, I'd buy all of those. I wouldn't even read them. I would just buy them because I love the art. So
so when you're in these comic book shops, are you at the age where like you're having those like creative, like you're drawing or you're writing or you're being creative in other ways? Were those your first memories of being creative?
I was always drawing, always doodling. I had to have parent teacher conferences in middle school, because they're like, the average kid's taking 3-4 page notes, and Joe's just saying they're drawing and doodling. And
okay, so I've got to know. So you go to the principal's office because you're essentially, you're practicing for your inevitable job with Marvel, as the 5-year-old decided. You're practicing. You're like, history, English, whatever. Like, I don't need this. I'm gonna work for Marvel someday. Like, did you have anything like that you drew then that you're like, oh man, like this is worth getting in trouble for? Or was it just kind of that absent-minded free flow?
So they had me go and get one of my notebooks, and I brought it to them, and they opened it up. And this was the 90s, and there was a gloved hand with a knife stabbing a blonde woman. Tagline underneath it, OJ did it.
Oh my God. Wow. Joe knew, everybody. Good. Joe knew.
It raised some eyebrows.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not proud.
No, but that's a quality origin story of how you got into graphic novels and lettering.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, like, emphasis on the graphic.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment where like you discovered the art of lettering, or what was like your introduction to that part of the comic creation side of things?
It's kind of, I went a really roundabout way. I earned a degree in computer animation. I had a friend who graduated the year before me. His name's Rich Ginter. He applied for a job at Marvel, and he was asking me scanning questions, and I'm a weirdo. I knew what scanning standards were, and so he got the job. And about a year later, I was finishing up my senior thesis, and he just texted me at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. He's like, hey, you want to come work for Marvel? And so I was just like, well, that'll be resume candy. Sure, I'll do it. So they emailed me an application Friday morning. I filled it out, emailed it back, and I think it's like the following Monday I started. And I launched or as part of launching the well, back then it's Digital Comics. It's now the
Infinity Comics.
Infinity Comics.
Yeah.
So was it the Ultimate app? I guess so. It's like the early days before is an app.
Right.
Oh, Infinity. Yeah. So I helped launch that. I drew all little square panels, and we had to format all the comics from like 1935 up to present day. So
wow,
it's a lot of fun, and they just needed someone who knew how to work all the programs, didn't have to be trained, and could just come in and hit the ground running. And so my friend recommended me. That's how I got in there. And then after about a year and a half of that, I went to they moved me over to the bullpen, where we composite the current books. So that's where I first encountered lettering, because we would have to retouch art or fix art or make any last minute corrections to lettering. And so drop ads in the books, design recaps, stuff like that. So it's in the bullpen for about another year and a half doing that.
Well, I can see it. There's so many questions running through your head, and there's a ton running through mine.
Yeah.
So you go for it first, then I call the next one.
Okay. So I think it's pretty interesting that like this kind of emergence of digital comics, you know, and trying to find apps and trying to find people to get in like digitally. They brought you like, we need people, we need folks to come in and help us do this. And someone knew you and said you had the gifts and brought you in. And then eventually they're like, all right, here are like the printed part. But like, for those who don't know, when you say the Marvel bullpen, I think I know in my head what that means, but like, what do you mean when you say Marvel bullpen? They brought you in. What does that mean?
Yeah, so for me, the Marvel bullpen is about 6 of us goofballs sitting in a print room together, just like working on comics all day and joking around.
Okay. That sounds amazing.
So you're in person. You live in New Jersey, but you go into New York and you go like Marvel, like the offices in New York City, and you sit in the bullpen. You guys work together and work on comics, and kind of like it's like baking bread or like making sausage. You all get together and like, let's do this. Let's create some comics together.
I'd go in every day. It takes me about 60 minutes from door to door where I am in New Jersey. And the funny thing was, my friend Rich told me not to wear nice clothes on my first day. That's the only advice he gave me. And so I show up in a sweater and khakis, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like I was definitely the new guy. And the next day I definitely just showed up in a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah, that's my kind of place. I love that.
He walked in there like, oh, look at the king here.
Yeah.
Sweater and his khakis. Oh my goodness. He
belongs on the 11th floor.
Sorry, sir, the penthouse is a few floors up.
That's right.
Because when I was there, all the legal, finance, all the bean counters, everyone was upstairs. So all this were on like the 11th floor, and then all the creatives, all the editors and everyone like that was on the 10th floor.
Okay.
There's some separation.
So Will, you stole my question, and you know I love it when you steal my question, because
I love that.
Joe, like I think for a lot of us fans, like the idea of like we've heard like other things like, oh, the bullpen isn't a real thing, or it's like it's not what you think it is. Because like I have this idealized version of like, oh, it's Stan Lee jumping on desks and like screaming things at people and acting out what he wants Dr. Doom to do in the next issue. And then I had heard like, oh no, like actually like there's writers and pencilers and artists like all over the world that do this. But you're saying like like, is it largely like editors, letters, production, like kind of the finishing touch, like that side of people that are compositing the bullpen?
Yeah, so I mean the editors are running in and out because they had their own offices, but yeah,
Okay.
there probably like 6 of us and maybe an intern or 2 who just sat in a room together. And
Wow.
files would come in, art files, lettering, and you smush them all together, throw the ads in, throw the logos on the covers, and upload the book to print.
So 2 quick follow-up questions. What is the weirdest ad you've had to put in a comic?
It's bad. I don't know.
Like Marvel books, like back in the day, like if you read like old 60s and 70s when it's like, you know, send in 5 cents and get live seahorses, you know, it's stuff like that. Like have you come across anything weird like that in your many years of putting together these ad pages?
No.
Okay.
The back of my head is in one of them because I guess they're promoting the new online, like read all the comics online in the web browser thing. And so there's a picture of me sitting at the computer and I guess is promoting whatever the digital.
You made an ad. You're the ad.
I'm in an ad. That's the beginning, the end of my modeling career.
Nice.
It's like,
yeah, I'm sure like early 2000s is like all Monster energy drinks, and like that's probably the ads that was going on.
But then like someone walks in and they're just like, hey, everybody turn your chairs around. Who's got the best looking back of their head? Right. You know what, Joe? Today's your lucky day, man.
I guess I must have won some sort of contest.
We gotta find that comic.
Randomly selected.
I'm gonna go find that comic in the back issue somewhere. I'm gonna go looking.
Autograph it. Yeah.
It'd be somewhere probably around like 2008. I would assume.
Okay, well, we have our assignment when we go.
Our assignment.
Back issue diving. Well, and Joe, you were mentioning that you work with this smaller group of people like in the bullpen, and like Will and I know because we've read so many issues of Thor, it shows up all the time. But can you explain what VC means before a letterer or a production person's name? Because often, like if you read a Marvel comic now, it's like VC's Joe Sabino, VC's Corey Pettit. These artists have this little moniker ahead of their names. What does VC mean, Joe?
All right, VC is Chris Iliopoulos group, and it stands for virtual calligraphy. So he's the head of it, and then there are, I guess, 6 of us or so that handle basically Marvel's entire catalog.
Now is that technically who you work for, or do you technically work for Marvel? Is it, or are you guys like a subset team? How does that work with you guys?
Basically, like Chris has the contract with Marvel, and we all work like for Chris or under Chris's umbrella. So
okay,
we're independent, but we work for him. So
okay, and I a little while ago, I was I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but I listened to an interview with Ariana Mayer, and she mentioned you, and I was like, okay, she's going like in depth on like how she learned lettering and like what it means to her. She's talking about all these different things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the most I've heard someone on a show talk about the art of lettering. And I was hoping maybe you could explain to listeners what is lettering and why is it important when it comes to a finished comic.
Lettering, well, I mean, we're the words, we're the balloons, we're the screams, the yells, the emotions. Basically, it's our job to translate the words into art almost and convey whatever the writer is trying to put on the page and have it in sync with the art. So
is
it, and go ahead, Will.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if you follow Joe on Twitter, his cover art, his cover page is someone getting kicked in a certain area with the sound effect of what that is and the letters and the font, and it's pretty rad. So like, yeah, I mean, when I think about like like what these words and sound effects do on the page to draw out what the story is. Yeah, there's silent panels, there's silent pages that express what the author and the artist are trying to express of what's going on in the story. Picture book, you know, my wife is a professor of language and literacy, and so she, you know, teaches language and literacy to teachers and what books can do from starting at 1 and 2 years old. They could pick up a book and start turning page, learning to read. But here in these graphic novels and comic books, yeah, what words, what are they saying, what are they expressing, what are they thinking, with thought balloons. But yeah, all that going on the page is pretty incredible. So in the process, are you at the tail end, like you get the art, do you read the script beforehand and try to see what the author's trying to convey, and then you get the art and then you kind of place it on the page? Where you are in that process of like the assembly line of creating the comic?
So we are at the tail end of the assembly line.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So for us, a lot of times that means everything gets hot potatoed to us. It comes in, it's gotta go out. I've had turnarounds that it'll come in 9 p.m. on a Thursday night and it's supposed to go to print like 5 p.m. on Friday would be like the cutoff. And
wow.
Holy crap.
you got to turn that around as quickly as possible. So.
Holy crap. That is,
yeah.
So
we quite the work day.
Yeah, we usually get the script and the art at the same time. If we're lucky, we get colored art, but a lot of times the process is so quick that we work off of inks.
Wow. So listeners, I'm just telling you, you like appreciate every step of the process. I was trying it last night, Joe. I had dinner with my parents, and my dad was like, "Who are you talking to on the podcast?" I was like, "Oh, I'm talking to JOE SABINO. He's a letterer, production guy." Like, and I'm fawning because I've read so many comics that have had your name in them, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm excited to ask him this." And my dad, who knows nothing about comics, looks at me and he's like, "So it's just words?" And I was like, no, Dad, you don't understand. Like, if they don't do like this doesn't happen, the comic doesn't happen. Like it's like every single, and I'm explaining like what I know about each part of the process. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I think I'm starting to see it." And I'm like, there we go. And a comic book fan was born. So I'm curious, Joe, because you've worked on so many different books, so many different titles, with so many different creators. But how did you find out that you would be doing Thor? Like when you did your first issue, do you remember what that was, who you would be working with?
No, I actually really don't. It's more or less, I guess, Chris decided to hand the book off to me, and you get the script and the art and you just run with it. So there's no time to really sit and like fawn over it or think about it. It's just like, okay, here's the style template for Thor, go.
And I'm glad you said that, because Thor does have a distinct template, like with the Asgardian lettering. Did you like, was that a conscious decision at some point, like, hey, all of our Asgardians get this lettering at some point?
I believe so. Is established before I was working on it, but
okay.
Yeah, so Asgardians all get different fonts. Humans have the normal font. If they're not Asgardian, they're basically usually getting the same font. But
I did notice in a few of the issues we're not talking about today, but in our last episode we talked about the what I've affectionately called the Thor and Loki go to hell storyline, where the Queen of Cinders is doing a lot of her talking, and like her bubbles are very different because they're all very like fiery and they kind of look like magma on the outsides, and her font is very like it feels very evocative of what would she sound like. Oh, that is what she would sound like. Is that when you go into a process of giving a character their voice, you know, not just their words, like is that something you process through with great detail? I'm just curious how you determine what the bubbles and what the words themselves are actually going to look like.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be a request of the writer. So I know Donny Cates a lot of times will request something specific for like the Dark Winter, or did I have that right? Black Winter? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, you got it there.
Yeah, Black Winter. So like he had a very specific request for that style of balloon. Sometimes it'll just be Legacy. I think with those balloons, they were Satur's style. And like Muspelheim, those characters, if they're large or powerful, will get that style balloon.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. But yeah.
So there are like templates for, especially because like in Thor books, you're dealing with so many different like other species and races, a bit like you frost giants and fire demons and all that stuff. I have noticed like throughout, like if I read a and this, no, I'm not like disparaging anybody that works on this book, but if you read like a Captain America book, like I'm not going to expect a lot of difference in like the lettering and the word balloons, but like I read a Thor comic, it's like, well, everyone's got their own way of talking and everyone's got their own bubble. And so your work has especially stood out in these books because everything feels like it changes all the time, with, you know, from realm to realm and species to species. It's been a lot of fun to read the comics you've been a part of, because and after I kept reading and reading, I was like, hold on, I'm seeing Joe's name a lot in these books. And I know, like, Jason's run ends around 100 issues. Walt Simonson did just about 50. Kirby did around 100. I'm like, there's a lot, but there's a lot of Joe Sabino in here, though. How, like, does he have the most Thor issues? And we were talking just before we started, how many issues did you guesstimate you had done before Donnie's run had started?
Before Donnie's run, I think if I counted correctly, I was up around 280 after War of the Realms. That's including the main title, like all the tie-ins and all the limited series and all that stuff. But
I mean, that's incredible. Like, it's just, you've worked on so many books, like so many books I've read, so many books I've yet to read. If I'm right, you've worked with Straczynski, Fraction, Jason Aaron, who we're spotlighting this year. And we're gonna actually talk with Joe about a few comics in just a minute here. Now with Donnie, and did you also lettered the Jane Foster Mighty Valkyrie series, right?
Yep.
With Torrin and Mike Dowling.
Yep. Worked with them.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I know Torrin brought up the How to Horse guide, and yeah, that I received that as well. So
can you tell us about this How to Horse guide? It feels like a almost like a mythical like object.
Yeah, it is like a breakdown of how the horse speaks, and like if you're gonna say the, like, word to just cut it, T apostrophe, it has like how to correctly translate all the words into
horse.
Yeah, it's like Yoda speak. You got to find a way to make them.
It's
exactly. It's like, and that was Al Ewing that came up with that, correct?
Yes, there was a whole guide. I was completely bewildered by it. It was incredible.
Like, what have I been sent? What is this?
Yeah,
so, that's so cool.
So following up just a little bit, like, where in terms of like your work and then when the comic hits the stand. So if you're at the tail end of the process and they got to go to print, like, when you get done, you sign off on a comic, how long before it gets to my hand on a Wednesday? It's like a week, 2 weeks, a month. Like, you're probably way ahead of the schedule, but I'm always curious about how much these creators, how long they create before it gets into my hands.
I think we are 3 weeks.
Okay.
So from when I upload to the printer, it's usually 3 weeks to print it and get it out and distribute it too.
Wow. Okay. And then Thor's probably not the only book. Like, how many books are you juggling, or how many plates do you have spinning there in the bullpen that you're working on? Like, in terms of, they don't give you one title. You have, like you said, they give this, you got to go to print tomorrow. But through the whole week, there's a ton of books that you got kind of in the oven.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on Black Panther. I guess they have Wakanda going now. Midnight Suns, Deadpool's coming back, Gold Goblin, Thor, and then that's just like the past week or two. And then and then
that's
they have me. I'm one of the people, like, I'll take on the weird stuff, the weird projects, and because of my background with working both with like the digital comics team at Marvel, because that's where I came from, and so they'll hand me or pilot a lot of stuff with me, like the Infinity comics now, the ones that you just scroll through. I was doing all of those in the beginning because we're like figuring out what works, doesn't work, and that's just completely snowballed. I'm working on so many of those, it's tough to keep track of at this point. But
and they pay you by letter, right?
I wish that
we would be talking to a resident billionaire. JOE Sabino.
That's right. We pay you by letter and word, and you're like, okay.
Oh man, it's like getting mileage when you drive for a company. Did you by chance work on the Alligator Loki series?
No, that's one of the few I have not.
Darn it. Our third host, who was not able to join us tonight, his name is Chris Faz, and my goodness, like he loved Alligator Loki so much, and I couldn't remember if you lettered it. He was excited to meet anybody in the process of that book, but you also you're working on all these Infinity comics. You're working on all these different books. It's nuts to me, like the workload, and we were talking about how much you've got to do in this time. But I'm wondering if, say, in another world, in another multiverse, if you're not lettering comics, what else? What would you be doing? Would you be doing something else in the comics world, or would you be doing something completely out of left field?
Before I left the bullpen, I actually wanted to head into coloring. And
okay.
It's fun because, I mean, if I had downtime in the bullpen, I could just pull up any inked art I wanted to and just dabble with that. And then one day I got an email from Chris, and he was just like, hey, do you want to come work for me? So had lunch with them, and just like, you'll be lettering and doing a lot of what you do in the bullpen. And so I just decided to make the jump. And
that's cool.
Coloring was the fallback, if that's a fair way of saying it.
I could have probably pursued that if I wanted to further, but yeah, lettering was just, I thought it was going to be really easy because I'm like, oh, I'm the bullpen, I fix lettering all the time, this is going to be no problem. And then I told Chris, sure, I'll come work with you, and he handed me 2 books on lettering, and I read them, and then it's just like, you've read the books, go. And then I'd have to go and submit my work to him. He'd correct it, tell me what to fix, what to change. And then after, I think probably like 6 months of going through that routine, he finally just kind of let me spread my wings and fly.
Nice.
Here's 8 books this month, go. Oh my goodness. Well, everybody, I hope this little, like, kind of lettering 101 has been helpful for you. We're not done with Joe though, because on the other side of this break, we are going to be talking about Road to War of the Realms, our last part of the Jason Aaron retrospective before we get to the big, massive crossover event with tie-ins, and the Avengers are there, the Fantastic Four is there, everybody's there, literally everybody is there. So we're going to dig into these comics, and we're going to get ready for War of the Realms with Joe on the other side of this very brief break. So everybody, we are jumping back into part 13. Yes, part 13 of our Jason Aaron retrospective for this year. We are so close, everybody.
Lucky 13. Lucky 13. There's nothing bad luck
right?
about it.
Joe, you joined us for such a great episode. It's gonna be an interesting look at these issues, because this graphic novel that's collected, it's issues 7 through 11 of the what I'm calling the Mike Del Mundo Thor volume. And we're going to talk about 5 issues that really don't have a like arc unto their own. These are all 5 issues that like we're getting ready for War of the Realms. We're leading up. We're kind of tying up some pieces, and then we're also getting some things that are going to lead into the big Marvel crossover event. But before we jump into the specific issues, Joe, like, these issues lead up to a big Marvel crossover. What's it like to be a part of the process with like a big crossover event? Is there kind of like a big team effort, or is it still like, no, we're doing one book at a time, like we can't really worry about anything outside of, you know, the one we're working on right now?
It's a lot more scrutiny. If there's a lot more eyes on the project, so it's going to go through more editors who are going to read, give feedback. Obviously it's going to be a lot more attention. A lot more people are going to buy the book. It's going to make it out to a lot more people. So there's a little more pressure in that sense, but for the most part, the events are planned out pretty well. So you're not just completely squashed and against the wall with them. But yeah, it's a huge collaborative effort, though, as far as like even just doing all the like backup material, like the editorial content, all that is a lot more involved than a monthly, because I mean, like, you have to do the next issues, and like we had the giant trees with the covers and all that stuff, and so it is a big to do. It really was. Like, walking up to the event, like, you're just like, okay, I'm in my Thor groove, in my Thor groove, in my Thor groove, and then like all this other stuff gets folded in, and my style template exploded. So if you looked on the side of the like file I'm working on, there's all these new characters and different balloons I have to include, and so it's a lot more involved, but it's cool. It is cool to like handle something that scale.
And like you, like we established in the first part of our conversation, you've been working on Thor for so long that like we've been talking about War of the Realms at this point for years.
Yes.
And Jason's been dropping hints along the way, and he's been talking about this lead up. You know, really our whole year of retrospective, I was like, oh my gosh, they were talking about this all the way back in the initial Malekith storyline, all the way back with Assad Ribic. And I was like, we've been talking about this for so long. It's like are we getting here? And we're finally like, we're literally the name of the last issue we're going to talk about today is The Eve of War. And like we're just so close, everybody. And there's a lot going into this, and we're gonna jump into the first issue for today, and we're gonna just kind of do a brief synopsis of each of these issues, and Will and Joe and myself, we're just gonna like throw our little comments in here. We'll do a few selected readings that I found just kind of really cool upon my reread. And then, I mean, yeah, we'll just have some fun talking some comics together.
Quick question though. Like,
yes,
when you talk about, I can imagine that, like, you talked about the scrutiny of like the big event that's getting ready to roll out. How much forewarning do you get? Is there like a herald of the major event that comes into the bullpen? It's like, here comes the big event. Get ready. Get your templates ready.
Is it Will Moss that does that for you guys?
Right. Yeah. I'm not entirely. I mean, it's going on so long. I think my original editor was Lauren Sankovich.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Because I remember designing all the recaps and stuff with her for the original Thor God of Thunder.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it spans a few editorial teams.
And of course the editorial team we're currently talking about with the Road to War of the Realms was it's Will Moss and I believe Sarah Brunstead is assisting. Will and Sarah are two people I would absolutely love to talk comics with. So they also, like yourself, worked on so many issues of Thor. They've seen a lot. So this issue 7, the first one we're going to talk about, these are all kind of like probably as close to like single issues, like standalone little stories. They felt very like they felt very standalone, but also like under the umbrella of War of the Realms, kind of off in their own little world. The first issue is number 7, and it's called Young Thor's Lament. And this is a story where Thor has fallen in love with Midgard, the pleasures and the excitement of Midgard. And Odin is like, damn it, boy, get back up here. Like, you can't fall in love with Midgard like this. So Loki, of course, is up to his scheme. He says he can get Thor to hate Midgard. So Loki orchestrates this situation where Thor falls in love with Erica the Red, who is, I mean, she's a refined, dainty, shy gal. Actually, the exact opposite. She is a sight to behold. Like, imagine like the Berserker comic that's out right now, but like, the slightly toned down version. She is a Viking. She's the Viking of all Vikings, and Thor and her fall in love. Thor goes away to fight a war, because that's what Asgardians do on the weekend. They fight wars. And then Erica, there's this little bit of dialogue I wanted to read. It's towards the end of the issue. Thor is returning from the war that he's gone off to fight, and he approaches the village and he's like, the village has changed. Erica, your Thor has returned. Erica the Red. And then an old woman off to the side says, she isn't here, but I can take you to where she is. And she says, she waited for you every day, standing on this spot, looking out at the horizon. It's a cliff looking out onto the sea. It seemed right to bury her here. Thor says, no. Who was it? Was it trolls, raiders? Who could have possibly killed her? And where do I find them? No one killed her. She lived a long and full life, much longer than most. I think it was her yearning to see you again that kept her going so long. So long, I don't understand. I was only just gone for 40 years. And then Thor realizes that that the woman he loved has been dead for a long time, and she was buried just 3 days ago after living this long life waiting for and then he breaks down, and Loki thinks that he's won. He thinks that he's won, that he's broken Thor's spirit. But this is a young Thor, and if there's one thing about Thor that fans should know, he's a pretty stubborn dude. So Loki thinks he's won. He also thinks that this gives him the right to try and lift the hammer. That does not go well. Odin doesn't find that too agreeable. And then we discover that Thor's love of Midgard is only deepened by Erica's death. And the last big panel is him raising a horn of mead and ale to Erica, and he tells all these stories to the Vikings that are there. And he just ends it with, she taught me what it meant to be worthy. So that's issue 7. And Joe, do you have any I know you so many different issues, but like upon your reread, did you have any memories of this issue or anything that stood out to you as you were rereading this one?
Yeah, it just really points out how like kind of wicked Loki can be. And
very sadistic.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's trying to go about it his own way, but like, could he key some people in? Like, and then on top of that, it kind of exemplifies like how like Thor and Asgardians and gods view time in comparison to humans. Like you just 40 years is nothing to them.
Nothing.
It's the majority of a lifetime or a lifetime.
Right. So I feel like this issue provided a lot of scope for Thor as a character because of that like thing. That's like her life. She spent 40 years waiting for him, and he thought it was yesterday. And we found Will in our last issue that we talked about the old King Thor story where he and Doom fight for like 1,000 years, and it's like, you know, then he emerges from the molten lava, and they're like, oh, it's over, it's finally over.
Whereas people on the ground are like, generations come and go and pass. But I think this issue, like what you're sharing, this kind of deep love, it sets up War of the Realms, because if this war threatens the existence of Midgard, it's setting up like this deep love for it, and why Thor and others want to defend it and want it to not just let it go. It's just like, oh, we let it go and we'll move on to other things. No, there's a deep love and care for Midgard, and we're not going to we'll fight for it and risk our lives for it no matter what.
And how like even young Thor in his brashness and his stubbornness, like this is where it came from. This is why one of the reasons why he loves this place so much. But we quickly move back to the art for number 7. Oh goodness. The art for number 7 was Tony Moore. And I hope I pronounce this correctly. Joe, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but John Rausch was the color artist.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, so number 7 is a guest team, but on in numbers 8, 9, and 10, we go back to our new artist for the Thor title, which is Mike Del Mundo. And but so Joe, when I was a young Thor reader, when I was merely but a Padawan in reading Thor, I looked at Mike Del Mundo's artwork and I was like, well, this isn't what I'm used to. I don't like, and in my ignorance, I was like, I don't know if I like this. But now as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, Mike Del Mundo is like a master. And working on his books, like you got to see 3 different distinct art styles of those consistent artists, like Assad's, you know, very like Renaissance painting style, and Russell's like very detailed, like very like fine lines and bright colors kind of style. And then Mike's, I don't even know if this is a correct way of saying this, but it's almost like airbrushed. It's like an airbrush painting. I love it in its own way. Like there's 3 distinct styles here. Like working on these books, like how did that feel? Like, you know, you go from these, you know, one style to another. What was that whole like process, you know, adding to the creativity of these artists?
It's unbelievable arts. I got those first couple of pages in, and you see those gods on the hooks, and it's just like, what am I getting into? This is unbelievable. Like I like working on a lot of the like darker, more like, I don't know, I guess maybe like the bright stuff is fun, but like when you get a chance to work on dark stuff, it's like pretty cool. It's kind of a treat.
Yeah.
And so that was incredible. And Assad did most of the sound effects himself, and once in a while they'd want one added, and so we have a font that's similar to his hand-drawn effects. And so I'd actually go, like we do all of our work in Illustrator, I would actually go into Photoshop and just make sure that the sound effect would blend in more naturally, just because like it's just such beautiful art. It's like I wanted to take that extra step to make sure that everything blended.
Yeah, and that's why you're a pro. That's why you're in the bullpen, man. That's why you're there.
Reason alone.
Right. You take your time, like. But in terms of, so you mentioned that sometimes you get just the pencils and not the color. I mean, the art in these next few issues is all about color. So did you get, do you remember if you got them in color? Because in terms of placing lettering and balloons, you don't want to get in the way if something's going to pop in the art itself. Do you remember if like it was colored or not? And then how do you make those decisions about where to put those balloons and where not to put them?
For which run? The one we're talking
Yeah,
about?
the one we're talking about now, these next like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, so the biggest adjustment for me was that all of his sound effects were hand drawn, and they almost have like a graffiti feel to them.
Yep.
Graffiti, yes.
Yeah, and so that is actually like this run right here is the first time I started using the brush tool in Illustrator to start to hand draw sound effects. And so
nice.
Looking back, I'm like, I could do better now, but that's like
an artist looking back at their work going, I should have done something different right there. So yeah.
It's I just the Thor books from God of Thunder all the way up through this into War of the Realms, I tried to keep everything organic and in the spirit and nature of the art. So Mike's work is, it's wild. It has a completely different energy, and so
yes,
I tried to match that. And but you try to keep balloons off of heads, characters, out of the way. And it's almost like when you think of lettering, you almost kind of want to have the balloons on a string that kind of like smoothly guides the eye. You don't want like people looking zigzag everywhere. So try to keep it in the panels and out of the way of the art.
You're trying to add to the experience without taking away from the experience.
Exactly. I usually say if nobody like notices you, you're doing well. But I mean, I've been doing this probably 13, 14 years now, and there's been an occasion or two where you get a book with just like so much dialogue that it will cover up all the art. And so I've sent in pages where it's just like the balloons are just completely over the character, and just like
what was I supposed to do?
Need to cut it back a little bit, but
I'm not getting paid by the word here, y'all. That's what you're saying. let's let the art stand for
I'm not doing Claremont's X-Men here.
That's right.
And there are times I feel absolutely horrible and guilty that there are like little details I just can't avoid covering.
Right. Yeah, I bet. Wow.
So with you were talking about the difference in styles, and I love that description of like Assad's energy is different, like Russell Dodderman's energy is different. Like I regrettably, the first Thor comic I picked up and bought was it was not an Assad Ribic God Butcher comic. It was actually a Russell Dodderman comic. So like when I have like fond memories of reading Thor comics, I remember it's like I was reading books with my friends, my friends, Jason, Russell, Matt, Joe, Will, like it's like I have a fond experience of like reading Russell Dodderman's, his art and, Jason's dialogue that you bring to life. But like Mike was one that like I had to mature as a comic book fan to appreciate his art style, because I think you hit the nail on the head. The energy is so different. It feels both, it's dynamic in a different way, but it's also softer. There's no hard lines. That I as an amateur appreciator can notice. But we should probably get to issue 8. My goodness, I said brief synopsis. And so issue 8 is called Prison of Angels, and this is this one we just kind of get dropped into a situation where Thor and Valkyrie are trying to get into heaven, and they're in the prison of the angels, as from the title. And then Angela is there, and she is the wingless one, which I love that name for her, because we learn a lot more about her in the original Sin tie-in of Thor and Loki, the 10th realm. And sometimes I forget there's 10 realms now. I always forget there's 10 realms.
Yeah,
now. It's just, like 60, 70 years of comics. I'm just like, oh, right, it's 10 now. I forgot.
Yeah.
They get into this angel prison, they break out, and there's some sister brother conversation that happens. And earlier on in the issue, when they're still in the cell, Thor asks Angela, his sister that doesn't know him a ton at this point, but they're familiar enough. He says, he asks her, do you think I'm worthy? And Angela gives this great response that again I want to read for you listeners. Said, you asked, Angela says, you asked if you were worthy. I would like to tell you yes, but I'm afraid I am too scarred to ever be the arbiter of such things. I am not worthy of calling you worthy. I suppose you could say I can only tell you this. You are the beating heart of the realm, Thor Odinson, not for Asgard, but for all of them, whether they want to admit it or not. Without you, the skies would be silent, and Yggdrasil would be nothing but a gallows hung with dead worlds. So if you are not worthy, brother, then what the hell hope do any of the rest of us have? And again, this is like playing one of those roles of like, we're leading up to War of the Realms, and Thor asks the worthiness question in unique ways in each of these 5 issues. And this was one where I feel like Angela just plainly says, like, if you're not worthy, then what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, all of this kind of hinges upon you. So we need you to believe in yourself. But Joe, on the reread of this one, did anything stand out to you in issue 8, the Prison of the Angels issue?
Is it the first page where it's like all the Norn balloons?
Oh yeah. No, yes, let's talk about that.
That came pretty much laid out that way by Mike. And yeah,
that's an insane page.
He drew out all the balloons himself, and
okay,
I just had to go and put the text in there. And yeah, that rag is that's probably the first time I ever hand drew a sound effect in a comic book. So
oh, awesome.
That's very rudimentary.
That page is literally like Thor's in pain, and he's got all these voices saying these things to him, torturing him essentially, and his face is like he's got teeth busted out and he's bleeding from everywhere. He's got boils on, like, it is insane how much details in his face here. But then there's probably like 20 word balloons around his face.
Yeah,
it's kind of nuts. So like when you were talking just a few minutes ago about the flow of dialogue, in a page like this, does the flow of dialogue not matter as much because these voices are kind of hitting him at the same time?
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter as much. I mean, it was all laid out for me as well. So it's more or less just which line you want to be a larger font and which one you don't. So it's kind of, it's like a fill in the blank in that case.
It wasn't something that I saw a lot, like, where and obviously like art is supposed to make you feel a certain way, or like, you're supposed to have like if you can't have an emotional response to art, like, maybe something's not connecting with you. But like in that page, like I felt the chaos. Like I even like when I'm on my reread, I was like, oh, it's a lot of word balloons. I could probably just, like, oh, read a few of them, like, oh, I kind of get it. But then I was like, no. I'm gonna every single one, and like imagine that I'm hearing all of this at the same time. Like, what would my expression be? And it would be Thor's expression of like, oh my gosh, like, it's just there's too much going on here. That's a great page though. That's an awesome page. But issue 9 is an awesome story. It's a Roz Solomon solo issue.
Yeah.
And Roz is, I don't like, Joe, I don't know about you, but like Roz is kick ass.
Yeah.
If Jane wasn't going to be Thor, I would have been in the Roz Solomon camp.
Which
awesome.
I think there was a lot of fan theory that she was one of them, right? When they were trying to figure out who the new Thor actually was.
Right.
But yeah, she definitely would have been worthy. She's a really kind of she just hits a whole new level of like being a badass kind of
Right.
this issue. Yeah.
You're right. Like she goes to that next level that even she mentioned it in the issue. She didn't even know that was the next level that she was capable of. Because just a little bit of a reminder for listeners, when Dario Agger, the Minotaur, and all of Roxxon, when they level Broxton, Oklahoma, and they try to destroy Asgardia, Roz kind of like goes unhinged, and because she wants to bring Dario to justice so badly, and that she literally murders a bunch of the rock trolls that are trying to dig underneath there. And that's actually it's an interesting sub theme in this issue, where she's like, who am I? Am I the person that was the environmentalist trying to do the right thing and trying to bring people, people like Dario to justice, or am I the one that killed 17 trolls, because I wasn't worthy? So here's what's happening here, listeners. In issue 9, this issue is called The Woman with the Vibranium Gun. So you might be thinking, vibranium, that's a different guy. So earlier on in this graphic novel collection, we see that Roz is approached by the Black Panther and Okoye from Wakanda, and she's like, hey, we have a team, like a support team, that is helping teams like the Avengers get kind of like scout out stuff before they go in and actually bring the hammer down. So Roz she's recruited as this agent because Shield no longer is an option for her. She becomes an agent of Wakanda, and she goes on all these scouting missions. In this one, she is kind of tailing a bunch of dark elves in the Bronx, I believe, or in New York, where she's trying to figure out what they're up to. And she realizes that they're planning for the invasion, and she fights them. She asks Jane, like, how do you fight a frost giant? And they're like, well, first of all, you don't fight a frost giant, you call Thor.
Yeah.
I loved that little part. Like it's like their friendship like encapsulated into that one little like banter. But then she's like, I need to figure this out for myself, because if I can't do this, then like what can I do? There was a bit of the bit of dialogue from here that I want to read is when she can't fight the frost giant mano a mano, so she figures out a different way to deal with him, and it's pretty savage. She says, I have questions, and you're going to give me the answers. She has transported this Jotun frost giant to the Lut Desert in Iran, the hottest place on earth. And she says, or you're going to die right here in front of me, big guy. The frost giant says, already shot me full of holes. It can't kill me with your little gun. She says, oh, I imagine I could, but I won't have to. It's 150 degrees right now, and you're not wearing a Wakandan super suit. Start talking while you still can. Then we jump to a little bit after. Thor arrives, and the frost giant is a puddle. And she has gotten the information that Malekith has the Black Bifrost, and that's how he's been getting around all the realms, setting up his little war. But Roz, like Joe, Roz goes metal in this issue.
Yeah, it's no holds barred. She really just, it's cool to see she had it in her.
Right. She's like, okay, I am not the girl I used to be. And I can't just fawn over, my rejected love of Thor anymore. I gotta figure out a different way to try and become worthy, even in my own sense, because she does reveal that she tried to lift the hammer. And I thought that was a cool little like bit of information that we get from her. Was there anything from this issue though that stood out on our reread, this very Roz solo adventure?
Yeah, it's just such a, I feel like each issue of this arc just adds a whole different facet to all the little pieces that are like leading up to the War of the Realms. And Mike just did such a great job getting all the expressions and all the heartache she feels, because she's still reeling over the loss of Broxton. That's just pushed her, and the art reflects it all.
What do you, so you mentioned there that obviously we're leading up to War of the Realms. We've mentioned it a time or two. Mm-hmm. What do you think this issue, this number 9, added to that lead up? Is it the Roz centric story or something on the peripheral?
It's tough, because like Dario Agger's got his own thing going on. He keeps his cool, but like you see that he is a part, even though he's telling her or playing dumb with her, but he's a part of it. And
he's always a part of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He would be a character if Dario ever shows up in a movie.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the Loki treatment where like to be like, oh, he's like bad, but we kind of cheer for him. Yeah. Like Dario he's a sleaze. Like, mm-hmm. And he's icky. Like you read his dialogue and you're just like, oh, gross. This guy, like, he's a jerk on every level.
Yeah. Has Roxxon been mentioned in the MCU? I'm trying to think.
So that's a good question. To my knowledge, Roxxon is mentioned in the first season of Loki. Okay. They go to a Roxmart. Which I was like, that's awesome. They have like a Sylvie and Loki have one of their first fights in the Roxmart.
Yeah.
But I, other than that, I don't know. And for listeners of the show, I just, I like to call this out when I see it. Yes, we do get an appearance by our favorite rock troll. We do get an appearance by Ulick in this episode. Joe, I have a thing that I love Ulick so much.
Yeah.
He's the big dumb brute that you can't help but love. And if we were showing listeners the video, I have my first appearance of Ulick right behind me on my shoulder. That it reminds me there of my love of him. But yeah, we get an appearance by Ulick, and yeah, that kind of closes up issue 9, the Roz Solomon solo adventure, where she takes down a frost giant by herself in a very, very unique way.
Yeah. Every time I see Ulick pop up, I have to always go and check reference to see if he's a regular font or an Asgardian font.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just he pops up so infrequently. Like, of course, he is part of War of the Realms and all that, but I always have to go back and check reference to see what font I'm supposed to use.
So like in this one, it looks like he has the traditional Asgardian font.
Yeah.
But the rock trolls didn't get their own their own stylized bubbles or anything.
No, they didn't get anything special. So
oh, darn it.
Yeah.
The next issue is, so these last 2 issues were honestly, everybody, they were my favorite 2 issues in this collection. Number 10 is called A Boy and His Allfather. So if you're new to Thor comics, or just new to the Thor story in general, oftentimes Thor and Odin don't get along. And this, to put it very nicely, and this is an issue where those tensions boil over, and Thor and Odin they don't only fight like physically, they have a fight for a few pages, but there's a conflict inside of Odin. And we get this story from Odin's point of view. And I actually found that to be super refreshing because I remember reading this issue for the first time and being like, oh my gosh, we've been hearing from other people's points of view this entire story, this entire lead up to War of the Realms, how everybody else thinks of Odin. And he doesn't really make many friends. It's not exactly a new thing, but this issue is from Odin's point of view. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, Joe, but like I found that like unique because we don't really get his narration a lot.
No.
Yeah,
you get his narration, his feelings, which it's cool. It's cool to see what Odin was feeling.
Right.
You just think of him as the All Father, and he's just going to smite everyone, everything. But it's there's some stuff going underneath the surface.
Well, and listeners, the thing, the theme that Joe's referring to there is Odin reflects a lot about his relationship with his father Bor, and how, like, really what I mean, I don't I don't pretend to sit here and put, thoughts and, themes in Jason Aaron's head as he's writing out this story, but it's really I think it's a story of hereditary familial abuse being handed down, because he says, Bor used to hit me, and that was the only time I kind of thought he cared, because he was focused on me, and every time I'd cry, he'd hit me harder. And it's a really sad story. It's a really sad story of how Odin was treated, but then how Odin, he wishes that he would have stopped this cycle of abuse and, verbal berating. He wish he would have stopped it, but he just doesn't. Like, it's the narration and the dialogue are kind of juxtaposed, where, like, Odin and Thor are having this conversation, this shouting match, where he's damning him and he's calling him a bastard and all this kind of stuff. But in the narration, he's like, I love you. Like, I always loved you. And there's this bit of dialogue that, again, I want to read for you guys, where Thor is just laying into Odin's face with a hammer. And this is maybe one of the most gruesome Thor pages I've ever seen. The page where it's like it's the scenes of the fight within the hammer. I mean, it's a beautifully drawn page. And Odin says in the narration, I wasn't there when the boy was born, or I was, and I was too damn drunk to remember. Have I said that before? I watched him grow up and became a better god than me, and resented him for it. Even as a boy, he was more beloved, and I called him arrogant, and I tried to shame him, and I cannot feel my face as the hammer is, being laid into it again. My son is going to kill me now, and I will die without ever having told him anything that truly mattered. I always knew it would end like this. Thor, oh my son, what have I made of thee? What grand and glorious thing would you be without me? Perhaps someday we will find out. I mean, there's a lot packed in here, Joe. This issue hit me.
Touching.
Yeah. I mean, it's brutal in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like Odin knows how to press his buttons, but I'll never show it. It's like when your dad finally tells you he's proud of you,
right?
But like Odin's not willing to cede that, like, let on that he actually is. He's just always got that disapproving front to him. And
this is like, sometimes, like, when you'll read like Thor and Loki stories, it's like, man, both of these guys got daddy issues, but then you also realize, like, Odin also has daddy issues.
Yeah.
And like, it's this almost like this family curse he's handing down. And he just hopes that someday Thor will break the chain that he couldn't.
Yeah.
I loved this story. It gives Odin's perspective of the lead up to War of the Realms. And in issue 11, we get Freya's narrative leading up to War of the Realms. This is issue 11. It's called The Eve of War. And this one was super touching. Like, as a parent, I'm like, I have two awesome kids. And I just, like, I always think, like, you can do anything. You can, you can save the world, like all this kind of stuff. And Freya is, at the end of issue 10, they say, like, he doesn't need a father right now. He needs his mother right now. And so Freya and Thor have several conversations in this issue. And Freya has a bit of beautiful dialogue. There's this great thing where a narrative device of the juxtaposition of Thor's inner turmoil and wanting to find Mjolnir, and he needs the hammer to save the 9 realms, and the War of the Realms, he can't fight it without Mjolnir because all these hammers are insufficient. And the inner turmoil he feels is outwardly expressed by tsunamis and storms all over the world. And Freya takes him to Hawaii, I believe, and he stops a tsunami. And Freya's narration of this is so cool, because she says this. I see that Thor's greatest weapon has come to life. 'Tis not the mighty lightning that splits the sky, or the godly strength it takes to make waters recede. 'Tis not the wondrous hammers he holds in his mighty hands. It is his heart that beats inside his chest. Nothing in all the realms is stronger than the heart of Thor. I pray he hasn't forgotten that. I pray that he hasn't forsaken himself for his own sake, for all our sakes, for the sake of all the realms. By the grace of Thor, we will be saved, mortal and god alike. This is known in every depths of my soul for a very long time. So, I mean, it's beautiful dialogue. Like, it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful monologue as she's explaining how important her son is. I honestly, Joe, like, this was my favorite issue that I've read of any comic this week. And I've read this before. Like, but going back to this, like, it's a great like last issue before literally all freaking hell breaks loose.
Yes. And it's really interesting looking at these two issues, like the dad issue and the mom issue, like Odin and Freya, but like back to back in the trade. If you notice, all the colors in the Odin story are cool. You get a lot of even all the blood from the fight scenes, all that stuff are all like on the cooler side, muted. And then you flip to the Freya and you're in the sun. Everything's warm, everything's bright, and like working on each issue individually, like a month apart, you don't notice that. But looking at that now, that's such a cool transition, like the cold father and the warmth of the mother. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, whew, got me right in the feels there. Yeah. No, it's totally true. Because listeners, if you haven't read these stories and you're like, let's just jump to War of the Realms, like, what are we waiting for? Like, I want the big crossover, I want the big event. I kid you not, like, if you don't know the emotional stakes of the character going in, like, then like big fights are big fights, and Malekith's war is, it's fun to a certain point, but like this collection of the 5 issues, really, I do feel like it sets the emotional tone for what the War of the Realms is going to mean for Thor, for Odin, for Freya, for Roz, for all of them. And Joe, did you have any, like, as we kind of like, next time that we do our Jason Aaron retrospective, it's going to be part 14. We're going to be talking about the big War of the Realms, the chaotic, big, huge event. Anything like about these issues that you either remember, or like you just like on this reread, you're like, man, like this really stuck out to me, or I want listeners to know like this about those issues?
Well, yeah, I mean, just noticing that transition from the Odin issue to the Freya issue, like, that's really, really clever in the use of color palettes. That's just like Mike really just did such a great job with the art. As far as lettering, like, I had it easy, really. Like, Jason just does such a fantastic job. Like, his whole run was impeccable, and the artists just brought so much energy and originality to each their takes on it, that it just, each individual like arc or run just has its own energy, and Mike really did such a great job. It's cool to go back and look at this years later,
right? It's been so many years. Like,
yeah, and it's definitely, especially since it's such like a defining run in
Yeah.
my career.
Yeah.
Like everything was like Thor, or Deadpool. It's like the two things I'm really known for are Thor and Deadpool.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to revisit all of this and just I have like a new appreciation for like that storyline and what I worked on, because like I don't really get to sit and read or dig into issues as I'm working on them. It's like they come in and they gotta go out. So it's really awesome to be able to take a moment and just like look back on.
I mean, oh man, this is really cool. Like, because here's the thing, like we talked about this with again our friend of the show, someone who you're working with on Deadpool, Martin Cocolo. With we talked about like when he's doing art, when you're doing lettering, like when you're working on these issues, it's like I'm working here, like I'm putting together this thing, like. And Martin even said, like, there was a piece of artwork that we were talking about, and I was like, Martin, like, seriously, like, how the hell did you do this? And he's like, I honestly kind of forgot that I did that. And I was like, how did you forget? And you know, because as fans, we're like we have these like connections to these things, but we didn't create them. And to see like everybody, I wish you could see Joe's face as he's like flipping through these pages. Like those last two issues they're bangers. Like they are not, like, listeners, if you have no time to read all 5 of these, go read 10 and 11. Like if you're getting ready for War of the Realms, like read it all. But like 10 and 11, like the emotional beats in it are so freaking good. I mean, Joe himself just said, like, reflecting on an awesome thing you got to be a part of. Like that's just so freaking cool, man.
Yeah, because like before rereading these, was it Thor and Loki Go to Hell where they had the Hell Train?
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's what stuck out to me about Mike's run.
Right.
Like, yeah, it just is such a wild, fun, crazy story that's what stuck out to me. But like going back and looking at this, just like, wow, there's so much more there than
it's honestly, Joe, it's why I've been rereading these books for like since they came out. Like I keep rereading them. And when we were like, what are we going to talk about this year on the show, I'm like, well, I'm going to talk about the comics that I've read more than any of other comics because they're just so damn good. But any other final thoughts about our issues? Because then on the other side of this last small break, we've got just a fun thing we're going to do with Joe because it's the Halloween spooky season. And then we're going to tell you how you can interact with Joe and find more about what he's doing. But anything else on these issues, Joe, or have we shot our shot?
I think for the most part, we just shot our shot. It's so great to be such like a part of that whole arc story. Like the Jason Aaron's run on Thor was definitely like a defining for my career. So like all the creative teams were just absolutely incredible. They top-notch artists for every single arc of it, and they were all different and they all got their A games. And it just really is incredible to see what they were able to produce.
And I couldn't say it any better. So on the other side of this break, we're going to do a spooky thunder round with Joe Sabino, and then we're going to get out of here. So we'll be right back. Do you want to know what the questions are ahead of time or not?
Sure.
So first question, the first scary movie you ever saw?
Okay.
Second one, would you rather be bit by a zombie or a vampire?
Okay.
Number 3, favorite Halloween candy. Okay. Number 4, the best Halloween costume you ever had.
Okay.
And number 5, your favorite spooky Marvel character.
Okay.
You can interpret any of these however you want. Like literally, this is just like a goofy game we did with Jason once, and I was like, sure, we'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, we are in the home stretch. We are nearing the end of our journey on the Rainbow Bridge today. But when we have like special guests on, we like to do something called the Thunder Round. And this is, I originally wanted to call it the Lightning Round, but when Jason Aaron says it should be the Thunder Round, we change it. So here's the Thunder Round. We're going to do a special edition of this today. We're going to do a spooky Thunder Round because Halloween is just like, it's a matter of days away. So, Joe Sabino, are you ready for the spooky Thunder Round?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. What was the first scary movie you saw?
First scary movie may have been Friday the 13th.
Oh my.
Not sure, but I know the first rated R movie I saw was Terminator 2, but I think
that's a classic.
The first like horror scary movie that I can think of, Friday the 13th. Or if I was a kid, you know what? Maybe Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh my goodness. There's probably people listening that don't know what the Ernest movies are.
Oh, that's a shame. Those
Everybody,
are such gems.
Go look up Ernest movies. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Do you enjoy horror movies, scary movies, stuff like that?
I do. I love them. I enjoy them. I hit a point where I can't watch them before I go to sleep because then I'll just have nightmares.
Right. So, you just have like a restless night of like, what was that sound? What was that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on a work bender, I'll watch them at night because I know I won't be sleeping. Right.
Do you have a favorite horror movie?
I was always a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So
you really don't want to fall asleep. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Our second Thunder Round question is a hypothetical. Would you rather be bit by a zombie or a vampire?
Oh, I'm going vampire, definitely. I don't want to be rotting. Like, I'd rather be some like svelte, indestructible. Well, not indestructible, but like some svelte being that doesn't die and gets to collect wealth over generations. Like,
right. So you're like, if I'm gonna be undead, I'm gonna be an ambitious undead person.
Exactly. Yeah.
So third question, and this is a very important one because one of the things synonymous with Halloween is trick-or-treating. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Favorite Halloween candy? My adult years, I would say Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah. Oh, that's a choice selection. So as a kid, like, did you go like trick-or-treating in like the swanky part of town, or were you like, no, we got like Tootsie Rolls and like toothbrushes where we were? Did you get like king size candy bars or anything like that?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to grow up in an area where it's just everybody was into Halloween, so you could get a really nice haul. You go out there with your sleeping or your pillowcase, and you just my town was 2 square miles, so like everyone knew everyone and everyone knew the good houses to hit. And
Joe just brought up a good point. You got to know where the good houses are. You got to know. I know my kids are so excited for Halloween. My son is going to break out his new Thor Love and Thunder costume with his hammer. Nice. We're gonna be repping our favorite superhero. If my daughter could find a Squirrel Girl costume, she would definitely wear that. But they don't make that. Number 4, speaking of costumes, what was the best Halloween costume you ever had?
Best Halloween costume I ever had was probably, so my friends handed out invitations for their Halloween party and said, come in a costume or come naked. So I went to a dance store and bought a skin-colored full body leotard. Just put a little felt leaf over the crotch and
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Wore a naked suit to a Halloween costume, and people would not make eye contact with me. It's great.
Wow. I gotta say that is the most creative interpretation of that invitation that maybe I could have imagined.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That way to go, man. Like that's takes some bravery. Kinda, I guess.
No shame.
Last question. Who is your favorite creepy Marvel character?
Favorite creepy Marvel character.
So many different ways you can go with this.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Sleepwalker. And
Okay.
I don't even remember the last time he was in anything. I I don't even know if he's still alive or still around. I just remember the trading cards. And
Okay.
Sleepwalker looks so spooky and like so cool. And so,
For listeners that maybe don't know who Sleepwalker is, who like real quick, like the trading card description of who Sleepwalker is.
I can't remember. I just remember how he looked and that like he floated around and there was smoke and like
He's
like
ominous looking.
Yeah, and so that's like a character that just popped out to me as a kid.
Oh man, Sleepwalker. That I'll be honest. I was like thinking like, oh, maybe like Man Thing, Ghost Rider, like Morbius. Like, no. We're digging deep into the barrel. We're talking like 90s Marvel, like, just random issues of like Spider-Man and stuff like that. No, Sleepwalker.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to my editors and make a push, like somebody revive Sleepwalker.
Oh my gosh, you heard it here first. Joe Sabino single-handedly going to bring back Sleepwalker. There we go. Yeah. Joe, this has been such a fun time, man. Like, you've been so generous with your time, and I hope our listeners have really enjoyed this chat, talking like, how comics get made, but also talking about your part of being in this Jason Aaron run. How can fans find you? How can they interact with you? And what are some things you have coming up that fans might want to check out?
So yeah, on Twitter, I'm just Joe Sabino. It's JOE SABINO. And on Instagram, I am Joe Sabino Letterer, I think.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. And then stuff I'm working on. Well, Deadpool should be coming out soon. Gold Goblin. Yeah, I'm on Black Panther. Tons of stuff.
Yeah.
If I'm working on some really wild, crazy, fun stuff with Jerry Duggan. So if you follow his social media or especially his Substack, like there's some really cool stuff in the pipeline. And
okay. So
I don't know if I can talk about it. I can just say keep your eyes out.
Well, no, like, hey, go check out Jerry Duggan. Go check out Joe. Go check out Black Panther, Thor, Deadpool's coming up. I mean, there's so much going on. Like you said, you got so many books to work on, and look for your stuff in Infinity Comics on Marvel Unlimited. Really, wherever good comics are found, Joe Sabino can also be found. But Joe, I thank you so much again. This has been a lot of fun. Everybody, you can go find us at Mighty Thor Podcast. You can check us out on Instagram. That's where we are mostly right now. You can, just for a few bucks a month, you can join the Thor Corps on Patreon, and you can get bonus episodes, early episodes, and you can be a part of determining what creator are we going to talk about next. Are we going to talk about Jack Kirby in 2023? We're going to talk about Walt Simonson. Joe, who should we talk about next? Your opinion of Thor creators? Matt Fraction, maybe.
Oh man, that's tough.
You may sway some voters here.
Kirby for the Kirby Crackle.
How can you say no to Kirby Crackle? Yeah. It's too good. So Thor Corps members, keep in mind, Joe Sabino endorsed Jack Kirby. I mean, how can you not? He's the king of comics. So everybody, if you want to join the Thor Corps, we would appreciate that. Thank you for all your support. You can leave a rating and a review on iTunes. That would be awesome. But for myself, for Will Rose, for Joe Sabino, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And as we'll end this episode, how we end every episode, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at in the 9 realms, don't forget that you need to stay worthy.
Absolutely. This is great. Thank you.